Hey. Tab for another out of this world story from our space. Caught wife flirting and texting another man. Seeking advice. Need support. I posted this in Marriage Advice and was suggested to try and get advice from here. We've been married for 5 years. I know we've had our problems here and there, but those have always seemed to be on my end. I never really had a reason to think she wasn't happy in her marriage, as she would always point out other couples' problems and say to me, "You see, our problems aren't that bad." That said, we never really actually communicate about things. Both come from painful pasts and have our walls up to a degree, with hers definitely way higher than mine. She's always been an independent person, which is one of the reasons I love her and fall in love with her in the first place, while I'm more open about feelings. If we have failed, I know it lies there in communication. We both work very demanding jobs. She recently started a new one that involves crazy hours and lots of overtime to the point where we rarely see each other. At the outset, we actually did communicate and talked about how hard this was going to be and some of the things we would have to do to push through until her hours stabilized. I had a hard time with the separation from the beginning, but we both tried to make it work. Then it all seemed to get one-sided. Again, instead of communicating, I distanced myself, but as it turns out, she had already been texting this man before I began doing so. As I said, we both work very demanding jobs, with mine being increasingly stressful over the past few years. I have been on a mental-focused, self-reflection, and personal growth mission to be the best person I can be, and I was focusing around dealing with the work stress for a while. I finally made the breakthrough around this time. It was during this week, or two, where I turned that attitude or focus towards our relationship. Should have done it sooner. I realized our lack of communication, realized the distance that seemed to be increasing between us, and asking why I'm not working to decrease it, even if I didn't think she was. So I sat us down 3 nights in a row, and we had long heart-to-heart talks. Talked about her problems, what we wanted from ourselves and each other. I told her about my self-reflection and how I wanted to be the best husband I could, but even those conversations seemed to be one-sided, after which I started noticing red flags. The normal behaviors changed. Our interactions and text conversations changed. On nights I would stay up with her, she would always encourage me to go to bed. I saw her texting someone sitting in her car, in the garage, before she was going to work, and later when she returned home I saw a text on her home screen that said, "Miss you," for one of her old friends, whom I know she doesn't have a relationship like that with. I went to investigate and noticed her passcode was changed. Later when I asked her about it, she gave me a very sketchy story as to why. I knew something was up. The next night on Christmas Eve, we were sitting next to each other where she got a text, looked at it quick, and put her phone right down. I memorized the time it came in, and again she suggested I go to bed early. While she slept, I went in her phone and saw no text from that time. I searched archived texts and found them. She was texting someone from her new job, exchanging pictures, flirting heavily. I confronted her, and we had a big blow-up. She had this man's number saved under her old friend's name. Apparently, she deleted them every night, but forgot to this time because I was distracting her. She says it was only flirting via text, and when he would stop by her desk, and that it was only for a few weeks, even though I was able to see the text log from her carrier, and it went further back than she claimed. It went back to right before I sensed the distance. She says the attention from another man, who's also married, excited her, that she knew it was wrong from the beginning and all along the way. That when I tell her how beautiful she is or do something for her, it's to be expected because I'm her husband. But when he did it, it did something to her. She says she was in control the whole time and it never would have escalated to anything else. How do I believe that when she didn't stop it, she got caught? Plus, she went out of her way to get his number escalated, and she was the only one who initiated it with, "Are you just being polite, or do you find me attractive?" The low escalation. She claims it didn't mean anything, that she never wanted this man, and that she only continued while she tried to figure out why she was doing it. She also says she texted him ending it, but deleted those texts and his number as a way to show me she's cutting him out of her life, which again makes no sense to me. She seemed genuine in her pain of what happened and wanting to work past this, but how can I believe her? She didn't stop it. She continued it until she got caught. When would it have ended, and what would it have turned into? Like, I can understand part of where she's coming from, if indeed she's telling the truth. I like when I get compliments from women, especially since my wife isn't that type to me at all, which makes this hurt even more since I am that type to her. But my wife is always right there with me in my heart and in my head, and it's not even a thought because I choose her. I struggle with self-esteem, and while she never has, I could understand if that was part of it. I know that happens to people, but again, you always come to a choice, and to consciously know it's wrong and you're hurting the person, as she has told me she knew from the beginning and thought of throughout. You say you love yet continue to do it? You have to continue to do it to figure out why. That's a part I'm really struggling with. Because as soon as she got caught and we were talking during our blow up, she figures out why. Again, hello, communication. It also hurts that not only did she not stop it, but even during and after our heart-to-hearts, she continued. She claims our talks changed how she texted him, and that it was only on his side then. But the very last thing she wrote him was, "I've been thinking about you too, all day." I question her care, respect, consideration, and love for me, let alone be completely devastated and heartbroken. I love her, and part of me wants to try and make it work, wants to believe her. On top of all the pain and hurt that has to heal, how do you do that while trying to rebuild any semblance of trust while addressing the other relationship issues? Communication. How do I believe what she say actually happened when she no longer has my trust and she has no way to prove it since the texts are deleted, including the ones she claims ended it? How can I try to work at this when my mind will always imagine and question what actually happened? How can she build trust when we won't see each other enough and when she works with this man? I'm a cerebral person who thinks on things too much. I know if I try, I'm setting myself up for mental torture on top of what's already happening. Cranach has her first bit of advice. The sad and harsh truth is, in this position, she has no chance to win back your trust. It is like you said. She knew what she did, knew that it would hurt you, knew that she is risking her marriage, and still made a decision that this affair, yes, it was an affair, is more important to her. I would also bet that she never ended it with him. I mean, how could she, and why should she? She sees him every day at work, and they could probably write emails to each other at work as well. You would never know. This man, the guy that was more important to her than you or your marriage, is a constant part of her life due to her job, and as long as she stays at that job, this affair will continue. Be it either when they talk at the desk or when they share a coffee during a break. This affair still goes on. She made her decision about what is more important to her, and just because you found out, that hasn't changed. So it is on you to decide to stay with her, accepting that she has an affair partner at her workplace, or to go your separate ways. I bet that she hasn't offered you to look for a new company to work for so that she isn't in a daily contact with her affair partner, right? Even if she said that it was only an affair by text, why do you believe her? If they had the chance to take it further, then you'd better expect that they did so as well. So please go to a doctor and get tested for STDs. But the bigger reason why I don't believe that this will work out is that she never came clean completely. She even lied to you about how long the affair was ongoing when you found out about it. That moment when you found out was her best chance to be honest with you and show you that you could trust her, but once again, she made a decision against you and lied. I believe you that you love her, but the sad truth is that she doesn't feel the same about you. She might love you, but there are other things that are more important to her. You are worth so much more than to be treated this way. Zach Taylor 05 chimes in, "Definitely tell the other man's wife. She's probably lying about almost everything. They most likely have been having sex." Big Ed Cactus Head chimes in, "So your wife is carrying on an emotional affair with a married man. Do you know who it is? Do you have a name? Is this someone she works with or has contact with in her regular life? Have you talked to the man to confirm her story? Will the two of you communicate with the other betrayed spouse, where your wife will confess the affair to her? Do the affair partner and his wife have children? How does your wife rationalize her potentially wrecking the affair partner's marriage? Do you think what she did to the affair partner's family is moral?" These are some of the questions you should consider. On to the next story. Wife kissed my brother-in-law, and I don't know how to feel about this. So my wife told me that my brother-in-law tried to kiss her Monday. They're not related, but she didn't let him. She said that there was an awkward silence, but then Wednesday he came by and gave her lunch, and he tried to give my wife another kiss, and she let him. She told me the day it happened, but I'm so angry about all this. She tried to excuse this happening even. She feels horrible about it happening because it's cheating, and I can see the shame in her eyes. I've been to this before. I've seen where I can go from here, and honestly, I want to be done and leave. I'm so incredibly upset still. I know it was the brother-in-law who tried to kiss her, but she let it happen the second time, after they've been talking a bit on the phone and everything for a while. They've been talking a lot more often recently, even doing 20 questions. I had to explain to my wife that 20 questions is a flirting game people use to get closer with who they're wanting. I asked to see her conversations with him, but she deleted all their messages, because I wasn't going to talk to him for a while. She told her sister that her husband tried to kiss my wife, and did the second time. The brother-in-law asked her, "What the F?" that night over text, so I don't know if they weren't supposed to talk about it or not, but the fact that she had to delete her conversation with him after telling me all this makes me incredibly suspicious. The only redeeming factor of all this is that she told me the day it happened, And I can very clearly see she feels incredible guilt and shame. That she really, really screwed up. I honestly asked her questions angrily and held my tongue most of the night, but I was somewhat loud because I was so angry. When she tried defending her action, I scolded her. The first time I've ever scolded her, or that my anger show in her marriage. I'm stuck in my anger now. She canceled our marriage counselor. All of my therapists and family have clearly shown me that I'm in an abusive relationship, and now she cheated. I want to be done. What are some things I can do to help? Edit. Should I expect her to change at all since she did tell me the day it happened, and the fact that she apologized and feels incredibly guilty and ashamed? First reaction from Hot Pinky Ratzo. It's highly unlikely that this isn't worse than she is admitting. One of the golden rules of her cheaters to minimize and trickle out the truth. Keep insisting her stories don't add up and that there must be more. Admitting a hug means they kissed. Admitting a kiss means they had sex. Admitting they had sex once means they had sex several times, etc. Tell her to write a timeline of everything they did and leave nothing out. Tell her she will then have to take a polygraph to prove she is not having or never had an affair. Check to see who local law enforcement uses for polygraphs and contact them. Of course, if you don't have children, the best thing to do is dump and run. Apeki Ratso adds on, by the way, have you checked the phone bill to see how much they have been talking and texting? Also, you can check to see if local tech guys can recover their texts. Honestly, it sounds like a lot more has gone on than you know. Why would they even be talking to each other, never mind them visiting each other? The OP responds, I might be able to recover her messages, but that's if she lets me use her phone to do that. It certainly doesn't make any sense, but her reasoning is that the brother-in-law has known us for a long time and she really didn't see it coming. I don't believe her. She would have stopped it. I asked her specifically if the kiss was so quick you couldn't react fast enough, or was it slow? And she got stuck in her words and didn't answer, which means she didn't stop it and wanted it. Next thought from Not Rick Deckard, 1982. She feels horrible about it happening. No, she doesn't. She said no the first time. Didn't say no the second time. Excuses what happened and is deleting texts with the guy, while still being in contact with him and canceling therapy sessions. She's not sorry. She doesn't care about losing you or her marriage, and you've essentially done nothing about it. Tell everyone in your family what's happening. Do not ask your wife permission to do so. Call a lawyer and schedule an appointment. Do this openly. Call and schedule an STD test. Do this openly even if you're sure they haven't had sex. This is a shot across the bow situation, and you never know. I've had marriage counselors tell me repeatedly that the first time they realize their spouse is cheating is when they get a positive STD result. Tell your wife not to sleep in the marriage bed any longer because she betrayed your marriage. Go dark on your wife. Do not discuss your emotions with her. Discuss only logistics. Don't beg, plead, seek comfort or offer it. Don't defend yourself. Don't engage her. Do all this even if you want to save your marriage. There's a very small chance your wife will be shocked into pulling your head out of her butt. Don't count on it. Do this, and you win either way. Next up, yesterday was D-Day. I walked in on them. I don't have anyone to talk to. I don't want to tell anyone because I feel so ashamed, and I know the few friends I have are just going to tell me to leave him, which isn't necessarily the solution. I'm feeling so much and so little at the same time. It's like I can't even process what I saw. It feels justified because I've had a tough year between work, my dad disowning me, and feeling generally depressed, and I've been distant. He was going to divorce me, but decided to fill the void instead. Now I have to figure out how to move forward. We have 2 kids, so it isn't simple. I just feel like I can't even begin to think about how to move forward right now. I don't know how he can just go about his day to day like nothing happened. I want to go off on her through Messenger because she knew he was married and came to our house to hook up with him anyways. I want to put him on blast with his friends because I feel like he should have to suffer and be ashamed by someone other than me. I just want to sleep and I can't. I just want to work and get things done around the house, but I feel drained of every bit of energy. I don't know. I just can't seem to process it. I can't even lie down in her bed because it feels so disgusting now. He ordered a new mattress when I told him that, but I don't know if he expects that to be a magic eraser. I just start moving forward. I'd drag yourself out of bed and live when 18 years of your life gets pushed aside for a fling. I'm crushed and I don't know how to go on. Mysterious Teaching 30 has a first reaction. Well, as someone who's wandered into something similar, I can tell you what I did. I kicked them in the hell out. So, if you want my advice, get in contact with the lawyer now. Grab as much as you can off his phone before he erases it. Get into individual therapy. You're going to need it to stay strong for your kids and yourself. Set the narrative with your friends and family. You walk in on him banging a married woman, or however you want to put it, civilly or uncivilly. Don't let him false flagged and set up deflections and misdirection. Cheaters will blame shift and gaslight your family like crazy. Do not rush into any decision of reconciliation. You need a few weeks or months to process what's happened. You're going to have to tell your kids. Prepare a way with a therapist. Don't keep the lies of a cheater. Exposure is the enemy of a liar. Really sorry it happened to you. And it's even worse with kids and your other issues. I had the good fortune of having enough restraint to not commit any crimes of passion while I tossed all of her crap out in the front yard. A final reaction from Judgmental Panda. He feels justified because. Stop right there. There is no justification for cheating. None. He lists problems with the relationship. Fine. There are two general solutions if one wants to remove the problem. Either 1. Fix it. Example, communication, marriage counseling, etc. Or 2. Leave. Example, divorce, separation. Having an affair has as much to do with your situation as robbing a convenience store. All he is doing is being toxic and blaming his own shortcomings on you. As for, I would have divorced, but... Bull. If he was at that point, he would have done so and certainly would have done so after being caught. He wanted to have his cake and eat it too. Now that he's caught, he brings up divorce to test the waters and maintain control over the situation, basically threatening to either reconcile on his terms or he walks. This is very typical behavior of abusive individuals. There are two ways to begin healing, or in other words, get it better. Either reconcile or leave. Sweeping it under the rug is not reconciliation and will just prolong the pain, even if he never cheated again. Without properly restoring your trust or healing the damage he has done, it will never truly go away. Reconciliation requires both parties to want it and for the cheater to be genuinely remorseful. If this isn't present, it isn't reconciliation and is effectively a purgatory that will prevent healing from occurring. Leaving has its difficulties too, such as fear of the unknown or initial loneliness, but in this situation, and most to be honest, I think it is the better of the two options. There are a few things that may help. Separation, if possible, for a period if not sure what to do. Let you cool your head and think about choices based on the realities of the new relationship, rather than trying to base what to do on what the relationship once was. Individual counseling for you and him. Marriage counseling if needed. Talk to a lawyer, just in case. Consultations may be free.